how are you?
Good, Adam.
Adam.
Nice to meet you, Hedda. It's a pleasure.
Good to meet you.
Thank you.
Did you have a hard time parking?
Yeah, I ended up on the roof.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So if you would, when we get through today,
Okay.
we can validate your parking. If you want to go to the front,
Okay.
just validate it for you. You don't have to pay.
Perfect. Okay, I
Here,
have it
take
in
a
my
seat.
purse. I'll have to give it to you. Thank you.
Take a seat. Take a seat.
Thanks.
Well, thanks for coming in today. I appreciate the
I
time.
appreciate it. No, thank you. I appreciate it. I know that we had our phone interview, and
Yeah.
it's always good to put a face with a name, so I do appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just a little bit about us. Okay, we are SunTrust International Banking.
Mhm.
Okay, and the position that we are trying to fill is an international lender. Okay, and what we do is we do international lending between private individuals as well as corporations. So I'm sure you figured that out from our website and the information that you had. So what we're just going to do is just a preliminary questioning, just go over some basic things.
Okay.
And so what I need from you is just to answer them as clearly as you can, as
Okay.
honestly as you can.
Sure.
And then we'll go from there.
Alrighty.
Okay.
I'll just, I brought you, I know you asked me for a copy of
Sure.
a hard copy of my resume,
Alright.
so I brought that for you.
Fantastic. All right. First I want to ask you, okay, why did you choose to apply here at SunTrust International?
Well, I think that with my experience, I think we talked about this over our phone interview, but I know we were limited on time, but with being from Washington Mutual, having some experience with Bank of America, you and I touched on that a little bit. I do want to grow into the international background with banking. I think it's great being bilingual. It's something that's I've kind of been drawn to, and with this opening that came up, I was really, really excited about it. So
Great. Okay. All right. Yeah, it definitely helps that you're bilingual because we actually are expanding. This company is expanding with the economy the way it is.
right.
Lending money's gotten very, very tough to
Sure.
do. But with the government stipulations and the new regulations that have come out, we've been able to capitalize on that market, and actually we're growing. So
Great.
being a bilingual, and you were saying Spanish, right?
Right.
You majored in Spanish?
Spanish.
Spanish, okay. Being that you speak Spanish, we are opening a Latin branch actually in Buenos Aires, and so we're definitely expanding, and that would be a huge asset to us, both here locally as well as internationally, to help with our clients.
Great.
So that's a huge plus.
Great.
What do you think you can offer this company?
Well, you mentioned the Spanish. I'm a double major in business administration and Spanish, and I have a minor in international business. So along with my education and my background experience, I mentioned Merrill Lynch, Bank of America. I've been on retail and wholesale side of the business. I think that with my experience, I can bring a lot of asset to the company. I have dual citizenship.
Okay.
So you mentioned the Latin America,
Sure.
that immediately brought my attention, because in the event where travel is needed or anything like that, I'm good to go on that.
So relocating wouldn't be
Not a problem.
okay. Yeah, we have had a hike in expanding, and like I was saying earlier, it's 40% up this year.
Wow.
So we're looking at just exponential growth within the upcoming years. We have big plans for that.
Great.
So traveling and things like that would be probably a big part of your job. So you're okay with
Oh, absolutely.
not necessarily relocating? We would let you know, but maybe traveling, things like that.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Great.
Absolutely.
Okay. As far as you are personally, what are your short-term goals, and then what are your long-term goals after that as your vocation?
Well, short term, I think it's really important that I start and learn the guidelines, SunTrust guidelines as soon as possible. I know that's huge to have to train somebody. You invest time in training me, so I think that my short-term goal would be learning the guidelines and being able to stand on my own 2 feet as quickly as possible.
Sure.
And long-term, I think I'm looking for growth within the company, where I can really bring my assets, my background and both my education to eventually a higher position, management position.
Okay, great. And that's obviously entirely up to you.
Okay.
And we have certain expectations here at SunTrust, but those will be rewarded as you grow up the ladder.
Okay.
And because of of the growth, we see a great future.
Great.
So that would be definitely a big possibility.
Great.
Because we handle money and we're dealing with clients personally on a personal basis as well as a corporate level. How do you handle stress from the client as well as from your coworkers? How do you handle stress?
Well, I think that with a great job, stress is going to come along with it. That's just kind of tied into the job itself. And being that I've been in banking for so long, it's almost second nature. I look to be challenged, and I look for, as far as stress, I usually just make a list and prioritize, and I just handle it that way. Just knocking one thing at a time. Doing one thing at a time and orderly. And again, prioritizing what needs to be done first, because there's going to be a million things that are thrown at you, especially in the lending market. There's always things that come up, that you're not planning for. So I think it's very important to be able to prioritize.
Sure. Okay, great. Yeah, and people do give you stress sometimes.
Absolutely. Yep.
All right. How important to you is teamwork? Being that this is a company, you're working with a team, you're lending money. There's, like we say, there's, four sets of hands is better than one. In our company, four sets of eyes
Sure.
is better than one set of eyes, because we're dealing with money, we're dealing with, finances of individuals' money. How important is teamwork, and to form that cohesive bond between you and the 5 other members of the team that you would be working with?
Right.
How important is it to build that teamwork?
Oh, I think it's essential. You hit the nail on the head. It's when you're dealing with money, when you're talking about wiring this type of money overseas, it's important that everybody's crossed their T's and dotted their I's. What usually I do is I always have a second pair of eyes overlook what I've done and maybe what I've approved tentatively, just so that we know, like you mentioned, 2 sets of eyes or 4 sets of
Sure.
eyes have approved it. We're all on board. We've all kind of given it our second signature, so to speak. So absolutely, I don't think one person can handle everything. A lot of things can be overlooked, and that could be detrimental to us as well as our client.
Sure, definitely. I mean, we all have the ability to make mistakes, so it's good.
Absolutely.
What are your personal keys to your success up to this point? What have been your?
Well, I think that organization, time management, and tenacity are some great assets that I have, and that has always been kind of what I focused on. Being in this industry, it can be very repetitive, but at the same time, I try to look for something new in every single file that I touch or situation that's brought to me. I try to focus on those things, and being organized, being able to handle the stress that comes along with that, and time management are kind of what I always focus on.
Okay, great. Okay. Being that we work with teams here at this company, how do you individually, not necessarily in a management position, but just as a member of a team, how do you motivate your peers to excel in their jobs? How do you motivate others?
What I always do is positive reinforcement. Sometimes even if it's just a peer, not necessarily somebody at a lower position, I just try to point out all the great things that they've done,
Okay.
and maybe try to focus on that one thing that they maybe missed as a learning curve. What we could do in the future, how this would benefit both that person and I. I've always been a big fan of rewarding as a team. I think it's important, back to teamwork, not really identifying one sole person as kind of the star. I think it's important to work in teams so that everybody's rewarded.
Sure.
Because that tends to point fingers, and it's always been done in the past where you reward the entire team, and I think that's great.
Great. And I will say SunTrust, we do things on an individual team basis, but as a company as a whole, we act as a family. So that's definitely good. I don't have any more questions for you. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask?
I do. We kind of touched on this during our phone interview, but I really wanted to ask you, what do you feel your company culture is like?
Because we deal with money, large sums of money, small sums of money, whatever the case may be, our client is first. Customer service is number one,
Okay.
and we train thoroughly on that. We expect that. At SunTrust, we believe that that expectation level should never be lowered.
Sure.
We, as a team, we are as weak as the weakest link, and we encourage others to motivate, as a teamwork. Trust is a big thing. Trust and communication. We have an